Mayor Eric Adams is getting ready to deliver his third State of the City address this afternoon. He'll discuss his administration's achievements over the past 2 years and the current state of the city. The mayor said he will also lay out his vision for keeping New Yorkers safe, delivering good-paying jobs, building more affordable housing, and putting money back into the pockets of the working people. Well, 2024 marks Congressman Hakeep Jefferies' second year as the top House Democrat.
So the lawmaker replaced Speaker Nancy Pelosi, navigated through a 15-round Speaker election, another round of Speaker votes months later, basic governing bills, and recently averting a government shutdown. He's joining us right now in studio. So nice to have House Democratic leader and New York Congressman Hakeep Jefferies back on Good Day.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
The pride of Midwood High, the Hornets, right?
Midwood High School.
Good to have you here. Let's start, before we get to some local issues, with a national one. And last week, Congress passed a spending bill to get us through till March. Yeah. This seems like it just kicks the can down the road, What's it going to take to get a permanent spending bill taken care of?
Well, over the next few weeks, we'll be in conversation with our Republican colleagues about negotiating the 12 spending bills that are necessary in order to make sure that we are funding the government in a manner that takes care of the health, the safety, and the economic well-being of the American people. I think we're closer to that point than we've been throughout the balance of this Congress. We've reached the top-line spending number agreement, so now it's all about the negotiations in the next few weeks.
It was good to see some bipartisan support in this bill. We need to see more of that. I think most people will agree with in Congress. One of the things that hits hard locally, though, is the migrant crisis. The city and the state are the ones that are carrying the brunt of it. But immigration is a federal issue. Yeah. What do you think can be put in the spending bill or done by the federal government to try and alleviate some of the problems here?
Well, from the very beginning of this Congress, as House Democrats, we've said that we want to find bipartisan common ground with our Republican colleagues on any issue, whenever and wherever possible, in order to make life better for the people of New York and for the people of America. Clearly, we have a broken immigration system. It needs to be fixed. But we need to do it in a bipartisan way. And so those discussions are ongoing in the Senate with respect to a wide variety of issues related to our national security. So it's border security, but it also relates to our support for Ukraine, our support for Israel, our support for our allies in the Indo-Pacific, in and around Taiwan, with Japan and South Korea, and also making sure that we provide humanitarian assistance to those who are in harm's way.
Do you think that the president should shut down the border until we know what's going on? Lots of people concerned about, are we letting people in this country, and New York has been a target, as you well know, that have plans other than just coming here and living the American dream?
Well, as I mentioned, it's clear that our immigration system is broken. It's been that way for decades now.
I know, but the President of the United States, President Biden, undid whatever regulations were there with Trump just because he wanted to divorce himself from the Trump ways. And then there was chaos.
Well, you're making reference to Title 42, but with Title 42, the court said that now that the COVID emergency is over, the President of the United States, whether it was Trump, now Biden, no longer has that authority. And so we're dealing with the situation as we confront it, and we've got to resolve it. And there's no doubt about it. That's why I'm thankful that Democrats and Republicans are in conversation. I'm hopeful that our Republican colleagues in the Senate and in the House are serious about solving the problem, not simply talking about the issue.
So, as you know, the mayor has gone to D.C. I'm sure he's met with you a bunch of times. I think he's gone over 10 times looking for a little money to help solve the crisis. Why isn't D.C. giving the mayor any money to deal with this? Because, as we know, it is stretching the budget. We're cutting vital programs that New Yorkers pay taxes for.
President Biden did request an increase in assistance for cities like New York in terms of food, housing, shelter, support, and I strongly support that effort. I think Leader Schumer.
Show us the money.
Well, yeah. Well, that sounds like an Eric Adams phrase. But I do think that, one, Mayor Adams is doing absolutely the right thing in advocating for the city of New York. And we do need to deliver additional resources. We have secured over $100 million, but this is a significant challenge that the city is facing, and more support is needed, and I believe will be on the way as a result of this bipartisan agreement that's being negotiated.
You know, you talk about bipartisan agreements, and again, we hope we get more and more. But you look at, this is 2024, so it's an election year. The Republicans right now control the House, but that could all swing based off of redistricting here in New York. You look at that right now, one, with the redistricting commission that has been appointed, do you think that that will be enough to swing the Congress in the Democrats' favor?
Well, our view is that we simply want fair redistricting. And if we have fair lines, we can win on those lines. But we should put it in the hands of New Yorkers and the American people. And I think that's what folks demand. We don't want the system rigged one way or the other.
But gerrymandering's been a problem everywhere.
Absolutely.
And that's why you get the partisan politics you get today, because everybody has to run in a primary, and they play to the extreme. Then you get to the general election, it's like, we have candidates we don't want, most people believe.
Sound like a political scientist. That's exactly right, though. And we do need to find common ground, and extreme partisan redistricting is a big challenge. We have legislation in the House. We, in fact, passed it when we were in the majority over the last two Congresses that would prohibit extreme partisan gerrymandering anywhere in the country. And that's, in fact, what I think needs to happen. And, you know, if we take back the gavels in November through the goodwill of the American people, that's one of the things that we'll work on, fixing our broken democracy, putting it back into the hands of the people.
So, speaking of elections, George Santos, his seat is just days away from the election process. What do you think? Can Tom Suozzi pull it out? I mean, it's kind of surprising that he's really in a neck-and-neck race with Ms. Phillips.
Well, this is a classic swing district, and so nothing should be taken for granted. Tom Suozzi is working hard. He's a well-known public servant. And he's exactly, in my view, the type of person that it's important to send to Congress right now, because he's a problem solver. He wants to fix things that are broken, and he's always demonstrated a willingness to work with Republicans and independents and Democrats just to get things done.
I know the Democratic Party is very much into abortion rights and is obviously making that a big case during this election year. Big anniversary for Roe versus Wade. Your thoughts on it this morning?
Well, this is a question of freedom, and we support a woman's freedom to make her own reproductive health care decisions. It's a decision that should be between a woman, her doctor, and her family, not any extreme elected officials trying to intervene in such a highly personal decision. We had a Roe v. Wade framework that existed that I think provided for that reproductive freedom here in New York and all across the country. And the challenge is that we have some people in Washington, D.C., who now want to impose a nationwide abortion ban. That will affect people here in New York, strip away reproductive freedom from women, and in fact, criminalize abortion care. And I think that's on the wrong side of freedom, not on the right side of freedom.
Congressman Jefferies, we appreciate you joining us. How long are you back here?
Back throughout the week.
All right. We're going to get a chance to see you, maybe some handshaking on the streets there as you walk through the neighborhood in the Bronx.
Nothing but love for Brooklyn.
There you go.
And the city of New York.
Okay, well, you got to make sure you get them all in, right? Thank you so much there. All right.